Many people spend their entire lives chasing wealth, only to discover too late that money and peace are not the same thing. And perhaps the greatest financial tragedy is not losing money, but spending decades pursuing a version of success that quietly steals your time, your health, and your peace of mind. Because if financial success were only about intelligence, the world would look very different. The smartest people would always become wealthy. The highly educated would never struggle financially. And people who already have enough would stop risking everything for more. But life rarely works that way. Some people earn millions and still feel insecure. Others live modestly, yet sleep peacefully at night. And that raises an uncomfortable question. What if money is less about mathematics and more about psychology? In The Psychology of Money, Morgan Housel explores a truth that most people only understand after years of stress, years of mistakes, years of ambition, and years of regrets. That doing well with money has little to do with how smart you are, and everything to do with how you behave. Most people were taught how to make money, but very few were taught how to think about money emotionally. We learned how to work, how to compete, how to chase promotions, how to compare ourselves to others. But nobody taught us how to recognize when enough had quietly become never enough. And perhaps that is why so many people spend their lives financially anxious, even after earning more than they once dreamed possible. Because money problems are rarely just about money. They are often about fear, status, ego, comparison, childhood insecurity, or the desperate desire to feel respected. And the older many people get, the more they begin to realize that financial stress is often emotional stress wearing a different mask. Morgan Housel spent years observing something strange. Highly intelligent people sometimes made catastrophic financial decisions, while ordinary, patient people quietly built stable and meaningful wealth over time. Why? Because financial success is not a hard science. It is deeply tied to human behavior, and human behavior is rarely rational. One of the most powerful lessons in the book is this. People do crazy things with money because everyone has a different experience of life. A person who grew up during economic hardship may obsessively save every dollar. Someone raised in abundance may take enormous financial risks without fear. A man who watched his parents lose everything may value security more than opportunity. Another person may chase status endlessly because deep down, they fear feeling insignificant. In other words, people are not irrational. They are rational based on the experiences they have lived through, and that changes the way we judge ourselves and others. Consider two men. One drives a modest old car, avoids debt, and invests quietly for decades. The other buys luxury vehicles, expensive watches, and constantly upgrades his lifestyle the moment his salary increases. To the outside world, the second man appears wealthier, but appearances can be dangerously misleading. Because one of the deepest truths in this book is, wealth is what you don't see. Real wealth is not the car parked in the driveway. It is the savings account nobody applauds, the investments nobody notices, the freedom to say no, the ability to sleep peacefully at night. And perhaps this is one of the greatest psychological traps in modern life. People spend money they do not truly have to impress people who are too distracted to care. A retired financial advisor once shared a heartbreaking observation. He said many of his clients spent 40 years trying to look successful, only to arrive at retirement emotionally exhausted and financially fragile. They had beautiful houses, luxury vacations, designer clothes, but underneath it all, there was anxiety, because maintaining appearances can become a prison, and sometimes the most financially dangerous word in the world is more. More income, more upgrades, more validation, more status. Yet the strange thing about human desire is that it expands endlessly. The moment one goal is achieved, another appears. And many people never realize they are trapped in this cycle until decades have passed. Another profound lesson from the book is that luck and risk play a much bigger role in life than most people admit. This is difficult for people to accept. We like to believe success is fully earned and failure is fully deserved. But life is rarely that simple. Two equally talented people can make different financial choices, meet different opportunities, experience different crises, and end up living completely different lives. Housel shares the story of Bill Gates attending one of the only schools in the world with access to a computer at the exact moment computers were becoming important. That was not merely intelligence, it was timing, environment, luck. And understanding this creates humility. Because when people believe they completely control everything, they often become arrogant in success and cruel in judgment. But wisdom understands that life contains both effort and uncertainty, which is why financial survival matters more than financial brilliance. The goal is not to become invincible. The goal is to remain standing long enough for good decisions to compound over time. And that leads to perhaps the most important concept in the entire book: compounding. Not only financially, but emotionally. Small decisions repeated consistently over many years create extraordinary outcomes. A person who saves modestly for decades may quietly build more wealth than someone chasing risky shortcuts. A calm investor often outperforms an emotional one. Patience is underrated because modern culture rewards visibility, not consistency. We celebrate sudden success stories, but real wealth is often built invisibly, slowly, quietly, through discipline that nobody applauds. And perhaps this lesson extends beyond money. Strong relationships compound, wisdom compounds, good habits compound, peace of mind compounds. Meanwhile, stress also compounds, debt compounds, regret compounds, neglected health compounds. Life quietly magnifies whatever we repeat consistently. One of the hardest truths about life is that many lessons only become obvious in hindsight, and perhaps nowhere is this more painful than with money. Many people spend their younger years sacrificing their health for income, only to spend their later years using money to recover their health. Others postpone joy endlessly in pursuit of financial milestones that never truly satisfy them. And some become so obsessed with future security that they forget to live in the present entirely. Housel introduces a simple but deeply powerful idea. The purpose of money is control over your time, not endless luxury, not comparison, not status, freedom, the freedom to make choices, the freedom to rest, the freedom to walk away from toxic environments, the freedom to spend time with people you love. And perhaps that changes the definition of wealth entirely. Because the wealthiest person may not be the one who earns the most, but the one who needs the least to feel fulfilled. There is a quiet sadness in watching people spend their entire lives trying to prove their worth through possessions, because external success often hides internal insecurity. And many people eventually discover that no amount of money can permanently satisfy emotional emptiness. This does not mean money is unimportant. Far from it. Money matters deeply. Financial stress destroys peace. Debt damages relationships. Insecurity creates fear. But beyond a certain point, the emotional meaning we attach to money becomes more important than the money itself. And that is where many people suffer silently. They are not merely chasing wealth. They are chasing approval, importance, safety, identity. Another remarkable lesson in the book is the importance of having enough. Modern culture rarely teaches contentment. Instead, people are constantly surrounded by signals telling them they are behind. Someone always has. A bigger house, a newer car, a better investment, a more glamorous life. Comparison quietly poisons satisfaction. And the dangerous part is that comparison has no finish line. A millionaire compares himself to a billionaire. A billionaire compares himself to someone more powerful. The cycle never ends, which is why Housel warns that the hardest financial skill is getting the goalpost to stop moving. That sentence alone may explain decades of human stress, because if enough is never defined, peace becomes impossible. And perhaps true financial maturity is learning that not every opportunity needs to be pursued. Not every luxury needs to be owned. Not every status symbol deserves your life energy. Sometimes wisdom is restraint. As people grow older, many begin realizing that the most valuable things in life cannot be purchased directly. Time, health, trust, peace, meaningful relationships. Money can support these things, but it cannot replace them once neglected for too long, and perhaps that is the emotional heart of this entire book. Financial success without emotional peace is fragile. What good is wealth if anxiety controls your life? What good is status if pressure steals your joy? Many people spend years chasing money, only to realize too late that peace and security are not always the same thing. Near the end of life, people rarely regret failing to impress strangers. They regret lost time, missed moments, and living under constant pressure. Because in the end, the psychology of money is not just about money. It is about fear, patience, freedom, and learning that true wealth may simply be peace of mind, control over your time, and knowing what is truly enough. So what do you believe is the real meaning of wealth? Money, freedom, peace, or simply having enough? Your perspective may help someone else who is quietly struggling with the same questions. And if you enjoy thoughtful conversations about money, human nature, purpose, psychology, and the deeper lessons hidden inside great books, then subscribe to In Summary Vault, because this channel is not just about summarizing books, it is about understanding life through them. And if you truly want to experience the full depth of the psychology of money, I strongly encourage you to read the book for yourself. Some books simply give information, but others quietly change the way you see the world. Remember, the richest life is not always the loudest one.